we did prepare a flyby video, which is a video, I don't know how they did it, but it's not real, even though it looks real. It's animated, if you want to take a look at it. It may be a little long, though. We'll just go through it. Yeah, go through it, and then maybe shut the volume down, and then if anybody has questions, because I think this is the last of the presentation. So, does anyone have any questions? Yeah, it's not real. We did that to help the potential entrepreneurs or business people see what eventually it was going to look like.
Thanks for your presentation, Joanna. Okay, I think I'm on. I was just curious to get your thoughts on how the community has been sort of embracing the development, and are there any sort of lessons that you could sort of share with us? Obviously, your presentation is very helpful on guiding us on the things to really focus on. But I'm curious about how the community has been sort of embracing it.
Well, when we did the referendum, because we did do too much land, and it was, we were told by INEC that it was easy to do that, and we did it, but the numbers came back very, very tight. It was 49% to 51% in successfully allowing us to move forward. But we only used, this development that you see in the plan is only 70 acres. So we did, being that that was an issue with my band members, I went door to door to speak to the band members and promising them, just say yes, and I'll take half of it off. So we did undesignate, out of the 300 acres, we undesignated 150. So the development here is only 70. We have a potential for an 80 acre growth also, but I did remove out of the 300, 150 acres. The community at this time, those that did not support it are 100% in support of it now. It's brought so much to our community. We don't have a housing list. We don't have people waiting for education. Our roads are in condition at 100%. I mean, we take care of our roads so much that we sweep them if there's dirt on them, only because we don't want the gravel to ruin the tar. But the community members are all 100% in support of it. And to today, we're in, I think it was about $20 million in revenues to the band from the beginning to now, which allows our band members, thank you, and because of the amount of money that we do receive, the chief and council hand out 3 times a year, every 4 months, $3,000 to every band member. So this, being the revenues are there, they could put it in the bank or whatever, and we don't call it, we call it treaty credits. They're called treaty credits to ensure that the band members are not, or because there are band members off reserve that receive this money, and so don't every man, woman, and child. So we have a trust fund for our children that is now being built up, that when they become of age, they're going to have a nice pot of money for them to get started in life. But our band members all received that $3,000, and also the new program that the chief just started last year was every band member gets $1,000 to pay their insurance. So every house has insurance, but it's paid by the people themselves, even though, like, if it cost me $1,200, the band gives me $1,000 and I pay the balance. So every house is insured, and also if you have that insurance, you're eligible for a $2,000 house repair every year besides that $3,000. So we're up to like $13,000 per band member every year, and it's just getting bigger because we haven't finished. As you can see, all the development that has not been developed yet, and we're waiting to hopefully draw in more businesses to our community.
You mentioned earlier about the closed vote, and obviously that's a double majority for a surrender. And initially there might have been a bit of opposition. Any, insights on what the particulars were in terms of them?
Yeah, with the land itself, we don't have a lot of land to start with, so that was a big issue with a lot of band members. And this was going right through the trail that our band members, our elders as well as our youth, use this trail for bike riding, walking, and we have a beautiful snake stream, we call it a snake stream, that band members go and have picnics at and stuff. So they were hugely concerned about losing that and having businesses there taking over. But we didn't touch that area. That was one of the 150 acres that we removed from the commercial development. So, but like I said, just be careful when INAC's giving you suggestions to ensure that your band members understand that what it's for, and hopefully they don't do that again to anybody, because our vote was so close that it almost didn't pass. And thank God it did pass, but I would have blamed INAC if it didn't, because of the amount of land that they wanted us to do. Even though we were only focusing on one side of the highway, they took a portion on the south side of the highway too, which we shouldn't have done. But it worked out well, because it took me a lot of work on the council's behalf, because we had to go to the band members who had that issue or concern to say, just vote to support it, and we promise we'll take it off after. So making sure that the band members understand the whole, what the benefits are is huge, because it's easy to say something to them, but if they don't see results in 2 days, then there's a problem, Time is a virtue here. It doesn't happen overnight. The process, in reference to the ramps, that took me 4 years. In reference to the zoning for commercial, that took me another 3 years. With the environmental assessments that had to be done, that took time. Even getting the funding, I was successful in getting through ACOA and other programs, some of the money for the infrastructure. And we were able to get up to $3.5 million in total of free money, if you want to call it, and we had to borrow the rest. But one thing I do want to say, that we had a land claim when I was first year, I was in chief, and we got $5 million. My band members wanted the whole thing. And we decided as a chief to only give them half of it. We kept the other 2.5 million, which brought us to where we are today. So making sure that you have your own money to start, because without that, I don't know if we would have been here. We would have gotten this far. It just happened that I had that money, and that is what allowed us to get other funding. And through the banks, we had to borrow another 6 million there. But a total of about 15 million to develop the 70 acres with all the streets. As I don't know if you noticed, but there's about 5 streets with all paved, beautiful sidewalks, top of the line infrastructure, and then even negotiating the municipality agreement with the city, that was another 3 years. So to put it all together, it takes time. Even though we were working these different negotiations at the same time, the total time, it's 8 to 10 years.
Gravel sources?
Our
The quarry, gravel and...
No, we have, well, we're right, I don't know if anybody knows Madawaska, but if you're coming through Edmundston, or if you look on the map, Madawaska First Nation is smack in the middle of Edmundston. So we have all the amenities, construction companies and stuff like that. So we didn't, and the rock that we did blast, we did save to help build the gray rock, yeah.
So you were probably in support of the local businesses,
Oh my gosh, we've brought in to date over $50 million in development since we started. If you look right from the very beginning, the infrastructure, the roads, the water and sewage, all that work, plus all the developing of all those buildings, it's over $50 million we brought to the economy. And one of the things, our First Nations, we didn't have a high unemployment rate, but right now every band member is working who wants to work. And we've hired over 300 people from the region of Edmundston in total of all the development for all the different businesses. So, and then also Madawaska was part of the Can Do and the Canadian Municipality Pilot Project. We were part of that, Madawaska and the City of Edmundston. That helped a lot in reference to, because prior to 2012, Edmundston didn't even have an economic development department. But I was fighting economic development since 2003, talking like I had chicken without a head, going around, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and they're sitting there without even an ECDEV department, and I was trying to get them on board. But then finally they have their department, they're doing well, they're prospering, because Edmundston needs to prosper for the First Nation to prosper. We need each other. And the Can Do and the Canadian Municipality pilot project that we were elected to be part of helped a lot, and I believe your First Nation is going to be doing the same thing, which is wonderful.
Yeah, so more than enough work. Did you incorporate any incentive policies for like your local actual businesses?
Yes, of course, the corporation has their policies for Grey Rock in reference to what they can build. We follow all codes, sometimes provincial codes, sometimes federal codes, but we do follow the codes. The codes are there, they're in place for a reason, for the benefit of the whole, and we may even increase those codes for our benefit, but we do follow the codes. The provincial building codes, and we have the inspectors come in to all the buildings. At the fire department, we have them all come in and do their inspection. We want the business community to feel comfortable within our community, and having that set up is huge. In reference to the policies for building within our community, we have the corporation. Well, when the corporation started in 2013, we didn't even have a structure, so me being chief and being the CEO, we have all office policies, board policies, we have all these things in place, and we have a very viable corporation now.
Awesome, thank you.
How many non-natives compared to natives you have working for you? And is there non-native businesses compared to non-native businesses on it?
Well, in the total of all the businesses, from the truck stop to the casino to the strip mall to Ford and the food court, like I said, we've hired over 300 local people, and I would say it's 95% non-natives. We just don't have enough natives. If Tobic wants to come and move next to us or come into our community, that would be great. That would increase the amount of Aboriginals working there, but we just don't have enough. But 95% are non-natives. Yeah.
I think that's what we're going to have with our development too, is we don't have enough natives to.
Absolutely, but I mean, so having. Say that again?
Do you have more of your own community members working the development at the development versus, or are they entrepreneurs? Or?
Well, I think our entrepreneurs, we've gone through the roof with everybody now seeing what's potentially out there. Now, Madawaska, we have a benefit. If you're an Aboriginal and you own 51% of your business, there is a tax benefit, because we have that tax agreement in New Brunswick, that the Chief and Council does a little initiative to encourage entrepreneurship. They'll get a percentage of those tax. So because of that, I mean, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur now, so we're hoping that they all go to school, get educated, and come back, and, you know, the sky's the limit.
One more last question, Joanna. We're also part of Can Do's Council of Economic Development Initiative. We're in the second stage for ourselves, and we have our friends here with us today, our warden and Glenn. My question is, for that project, what was your guys' priority that came out of that? Because we're still going through like the development of our friendship accord, and we're still learning about each other, and it's really amazing of how close we live in proximity to how much the municipality don't know about us or what we were envisioning, and also with them, but things are similar. So what was the common thing that came out of the project with Can Do?
Well, knowing that this is all about economic development and becoming partners with the local municipality, we looked at maybe coming together and having an economic development plan. Because like I said, there was no dev department within Edmundston prior to 2012. So having a plan of what they have as a vision and what we had as a vision, putting this together. But our very first step, as you are working through your friendship accord, we've done that. We did a ceremony of planting tree for the date of the signing of that accord. Also, we're working on communications. A communication strategy or policy, so that when something happens within our community, how do we go about letting them know, and when something happens there, that they let us know, and having that mutual agreement where we share here, not this jealousy of, because there is a lot of jealous people around Edmundston saying that, you know, that we're taking over, but they're the ones who took over us in the beginning, how many years ago? But, there's a lot of jealousy, but when they find out that we've hired 300 non-natives, because they have this idea in their head that we're building it and it's all for us. It's not. It's for Edmundston as well as us, because you cannot one thrive without the other. And this is the importance of this pilot project, to coming together and saying, let's work together to make this happen. And with the support, it's so much easier. I mean, at one point there, we didn't have this pilot project. The city of Edmundston wrote a letter to DOT to say not to give us the ramps. So, I mean, we've come a long way. Yeah.
You have 95% non-natives. Did you put out a call to other communities when you were developing and asking if they had people that be interested in being employed in your community?
We
If
did
you
not.
How did you do it?
No, we did not do that. But I mean, I've been very vocal in asking people, especially from Tobic, because they're an hour away. It has to be something that's, as you know, band members don't want to leave the community. So it's easy to say, well, come on and live in Edmundston, but how do you get band members out of the communities? It's hard enough to get them out to go to school. So to come out and work, it's not easy. But at the end of the day, if it's a well-paying job and they can live in a community, because Edmundston, and even on our First Nation, we don't have much land or dwellings or infrastructure for the other natives to come. So they would have to live in Edmundston. And so there are some hurdles to go over there. And Tobic is an hour away. Can we get them to come and work and then drive an hour home? I mean, if we lived in Toronto, it'd be a no-brainer, but we live in small communities. A drive of an hour every day is not feasible for a lot of people. And to get them to leave and to come to our community, it's when I don't have nothing to offer them at this point in reference to dwellings, you know, and the housing and stuff like that.
Your salary and your wages and your benefits, is that comparable to the non-native community, so that you can, you know, maybe that's how to draw people into you?
Well, the beautiful thing is most of the businesses on the First Nation are not run by us. They're run by non-natives, that there is wages and the government rates. And so in reference to wages, it's minimum wage depending on experience and, you know, how that goes. Yeah.
So they'd be comparable to the non-native community?
Oh, yes. Oh, definitely. So, and in our community, we pay more than minimum wage to our band members, and you know, we're spoiling them, so now they don't want to go anywhere because we've given them a little bit more than minimum wage, so they won't go out and work somewhere else, which is not good. It's not good for our band members. They need to, and I mean, even as children, we've had these high school projects where this is another political thing, I won't go there, but
Joe, I just have a question in regards to what advice would you give Buckingag here in regards to some of the stuff you might want to watch out for as you proceed, because I'm sure that you've run into some issues or concerns you never thought about was going to happen, but as a community starting out, what is some of the things maybe you could pass on and say be careful of?
Well, I've known, like in getting started, funding was always an issue, as you all know, that when you're applying for any government funding, especially if it's like through a COA or any other programs, the majority of the time it's one-third, one-third, one-third. You have to have your own in-house resources in order to, and you can't say, well, I'm going to borrow from the bank, because then that becomes another addition to the burden of paying things back and getting things done. So if you can, save money, or I don't know, like I said, we were fortunate in reference to having that land claim. I don't think we would be here if we didn't have that. So I don't know really how another First Nation would go about it, but having some money of your own is very, very important to get the things moving. Also in reference to the support. Like I said, the city of Edmundston, prior to us having our agreement, they were pushing the province not to give us those ramps. They were saying, nope, they don't need them, and they're going to interfere with our, and I hate to say this, but Edmundston has gone down in the last, I would say, since 2000, maybe 1990. The mill that was there closed. It was the Fraser mill. And that was devastating to the region. But also, we had a few business people in our community that didn't want, the guy who owned McDonald's didn't want a Burger King because it was going to take away from his McDonald's. Well, not realizing, these are businessmen too. You would assume that they would look at it and say, well, if I'm not allowing new businesses in, then everything's going to decline, which ruined their own business. Not thinking of to grow and prosper, they ended up hurting themselves by saying no. And there was 3 or 4 in Edmundston that controlled it, and that's why it went down. So that's one of the reasons why we had a hard time, because they were fighting us, these 3 or 4 businessmen of Edmundston that had control of the council and the mayor and everything, and not allowing Edmundston to grow, not realizing that they were hurting themselves. But now today they realize it. Their businesses are picking up beautifully now, but you would assume as business people they would have known this prior, but they're happy now. So
Being bilingual, where you're next to the Quebec border, and the lawsuit that was going a few months ago over the liquor coming from Quebec into New Brunswick, how do those two problems affect you?
well, there is a liquor store that's going to tender here in 2017 that I've been fighting for since 2013. I wanted them to come and locate in our development, but being as fair as everything is, we have to go to tender with everyone else. But our location beats out any location in Edmundston for a new liquor store. I kind of threatened them, said that, well, if you don't give us the liquor store, we'll just open a Quebec liquor store. So we're hoping that they do agree to come. Our location is ideal. Their whole goal is to have the NB Liquors right off the highway, and there's no other exit that hits that goal more than exit 19 in Edmundston. Oh, by the way, exit 19.
Well, on behalf of our community, Joanna, thank you for coming, and I hope next time you come, you'll gas up on our highway.